It is my view, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that the subsidy on premium fuel should be completely removed. Anyone driving a vehicle that requires premium fuel is driving a luxury vehicle and should have no right to a fuel subsidy designed for poverty alleviation.
I just listened to a 55 minutes, Madam Speaker, of an explanation and a justification as to why this country is in the crisis that it is in. Because we have a minister in the Ministry of Finance who does not have a clue about finance, does not have a clue about what he is talking about, Madam Speaker. Not a clue. In fact, listening to this honorable minister was a painful exercise. A painful exercise, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, but that's not the worst part of this thing. The worst part today that I heard from the minister in the Ministry of Finance is when he listed out a series of subsidies as if the government was doing this tremendous favor to the population, and then he crossed a line, Madam Speaker, because he sent a signal, and you could tell from his colleagues, his own colleagues, that they were not sure that this was a policy position that he stated. When he said, Madam Speaker, that it is his view, and I want the Minister of Finance, when he's wrapping up, to advise whether this is the Ministry of Finance's view, whether this is this government's view, that there should be no subsidy on premium fuel. Madam Speaker, this minister is also signaling what I believe to be the government's clear intention to remove all these subsidies that he's talking about, that he begrudgingly is given to citizens. These subsidies, Madam Speaker, removing subsidies left, right, and center. Madam Speaker, this very said minister also used the parliamentary privilege of standing here
Madam
and
Speaker,
attacking individuals.
Madam Speaker, 48-6. The member of Parliament for San Fernando East was clear to state that it was his personal opinion.
Okay.
The member there is saying this.
All right, I overrule. Please continue.
Just for clarification, Madam Speaker, when a member of Parliament, a minister in the Ministry of Finance, stands in this House, he doesn't have a personal view. He's expressing the view of the government. That is the government's view. Now, if the minister in the Ministry of Finance, if the Minister of Finance wants to disavow himself, if he wants to disavow that, that's up to them. But the minister today spoke as the minister in the Ministry of Finance, and that his statement clearly signals to the population that this fuel price increase that we're experiencing here is not yet finished.
And I believe I heard the opposition leader rattle off a bunch of archaic ideas and projects that made it seem as if the opposition leader does not realize that we're entering a digital age, and it's time to step up. A lot of the projects that were mentioned today by the opposition leader are completely archaic and out of step with reality.
Madam Speaker, the minister also suggested, having listened to the honorable leader of the opposition before, that she presented a series of archaic plans. A series of archaic plans. Madam Speaker, he then tried to present one of his own. But tell me, Madam Speaker, whether these are archaic plans. A biotechnology manufacturing corridor, a digital innovation park, a Trinidad Creative Center, an energy logistics hub, Solar Tech Renewable Park, the Southwest Peninsula Economic Zone. Those are not archaic, Madam Speaker. Those are projects that are feasible and practical, but the minister does not know that because it's above his intellectual capacity, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Also, the opposition leader attempted to rewrite the economic history of Trinidad and Tobago. And let me set the record straight. The opposition leader made it seem again that it was all roses and sunshine from 2010 to 2015. And then all of a sudden, as soon as governments changed, the economy collapsed. Nothing could be further from the truth. As far back as 2008, and I'll give the opposition leader a short economics lesson because clearly it's needed. As far back as 2008, we had global financial crisis. That caused the world economy to collapse, and with it, energy prices. In 2009, Trinidad and Tobago had a deficit budget, which means a budget that was partially funded by debt. Those those deficit budgets continued, Mr. Deputy Speaker, right into the term of the UNC government. And what occurred between 2014 and 2016 is on record as part of economic history as one of the worst downturns of energy prices in the history of the world.
Madam Speaker, there's much more I could say about this presentation by this honorable minister, including the fact that he tried to rewrite history, including the fact that he admitted that when the UNC came into government as part of the People's Partnership, they found an economy that was collapsing. But he chose to leave out certain parts, just like his Minister of Finance, which I will come to just now, Madam Speaker. He chose to leave out specific parts, because while the economy is falling, based on international prices falling, Madam Speaker, the Kamala Prasad-Bissessa administration was still able to grow the economy by more than 20%, and that's a fact. They were still able to increase and make submissions and provisions to the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, and that's a fact. They were still able to employ 55,000 new jobs, create 55,000 new jobs. That's a fact. That, Madam Speaker, is what the minister needs to compare with what is happening today.